Friday. I'm Gina Bullard with Gary Sadowski. Tyler is off this morning. Here are some of the top stories we're following. Well, state police are looking for a second family member who they say may have been involved in a fatal accident in Tinmouth. On Friday night, 57-year-old Leo Brancho was near his home on Gulf Road when he was hit by a truck. Police identified 57-year-old Lisa Veldy as the driver, but now want to talk to her son as well. 40-year-old Thomas Veldy Jr. is wanted for questioning for his involvement in the crash, but police won't comment on what that might be. Well, a heads up for residents on city water in Lebanon, New Hampshire. The city's Public Works Department is in the process of cleaning out fire hydrants. Gary is here now. We had a nice sunny weekend.
It was.
A little cold.
A little on the chilly side, and that wind still kind of brisk out of the north. So if you were able to stay out of the wind, stay in the sun, it was pretty good out there. So in order to get there, we have to get through tonight and tomorrow.
I hope this is the last little bump
You said that last time, but yeah, hopefully
but now it's almost May.
So?
True, I guess you're right, Gary. We can have hope that this is the last of it.
Right, yeah. Right now it looks like it will be.
All right, thanks, Gary. Tyler. Odd is cool. That's the message from a 10-year-old in Plattsburgh who has a way with words. Benjamin Giroux has Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism, and his parents say he doesn't say much about school, good or bad. That all changed when he got the assignment to write a poem entitled I Am. Ben wrote about the sadness and isolation that comes from feeling different and his realization that he's not alone. The National Autism Association shared his poem. It's now spread across the globe and was translated into 20 different languages. Well, there is a plane flying around the world without any fuel. This is pretty cool. Solar Impulse 2, that's what it's called. It landed in California after flying over the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. It took a 2.5-day flight from Hawaii. Pretty cool. That's exactly right. Felipe Vieira moved from Brazil to Stowe, Vermont with his wife and his 16-year-old daughter 3 years ago to live the American dream, and now that dream could be slipping right out from underneath him. Vieira is one of hundreds of other foreign nationals who put their money and their future into the hands of Bill Stanger and Ariel Quiros in the Northeast Kingdom Revitalization Project. Now, he first learned about the state and federal investigations through watching Channel 3, and that's when he started calling other foreign investors. Now he's the spokesperson for about 69 of them, 90% of which do not have their permanent green cards yet. Now, Vieira's $500,000 investment was for a later phase of the grandiose project, which is barely off the ground right now. So the investors are worried that if the work stops, their temporary visas will be just that, temporary.
We don't depend on EB5 project to live. We're doing good here, but if we lose our visa, that's a huge backset.
Now, Vieira is not your typical investor. He had to give up a lot to get to the U.S. He sold his farm and an apartment in Brazil, and he works a full-time IT job here in Vermont. Now, his green card only comes if his $500,000 investment creates 10 jobs, and as of right now, as you know, there is no work going on in the kingdom, so they are very nervous that their green cards are not going to come through. Coming up tonight at 11, we'll have more with Vieira, and he says, you know, he has a hard time believing that Bill Stanger didn't know something was off in this whole process, so we'll talk to him more about that. Darren and Kristen, that'll be at 11.
Gina Bullard in Stowe tonight. We'll look for that report at 11.
Well, the Vermont Senate finally supports the ethics bill, but it may be too late for it to become law. Well, Vermont lawmakers questioned the Shumlin administration Tuesday on the alleged massive fraud at Jay Peak and Q Burke Resort. So I hate being the bearer of bad news.
That's usually my job.
Right. But new data shows that dogs hate hugs.
Don't believe it.
Yes. So dog owners are in denial. But according to a new study, almost 82% of dogs dislike being hugged.
82%.
Now, yeah, so it's based on cues of distress found in a random assortment of photos pulled from the internet. Their ears are down, their heads turned, avoiding eye contact, submissive eye closing, lip-licking, anxious yawning. That's what you call some rough news for dog owners.
I don't know.
Well, our top story this morning, did Vermont's current or former governor know about the alleged fraud in the Northeast Kingdom? Governor Peter Shumlin is quick to point out the alleged troubles with the EB-5 program started before his time. So our Jennifer Costa sat down with former Governor Jim Douglas, who was in office when the project began. Delaware police are trying to find out what led to a high school student's death. Police say a 16-year-old girl was assaulted in a bathroom by multiple attackers. Blood services across the country are seeing less donations due to the Zika virus. Gary, you're going to like this next story. I have a feeling.
Well.
3 baby lemurs made their debut at the Bronx Zoo in New York. Well, a technical issue may force the military to ground 2,500 F-35s until the problem is fixed. The fighter jets were slated to come to Vermont in the fall of 2019. Well, another effort to legalize marijuana at the State House. The Senate attached its pot bill to a House-approved miscellaneous crime bill and sent the whole package back to the House for consideration. Well, the mayor of Rutland was in the hot seat Wednesday as he faced questions from lawmakers about his push to bring refugees to the city. Eva was at that meeting and is here now to explain. Well, 3 men are arrested in a prostitution sting in Canaan, New Hampshire, including a former school official. Well, state police say they stopped a driver with no license to drive for the 11th time. Well, they are typically the busiest fire department in the state, and now Burlington has a new fire chief. Tyler is catching up with him this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Gina.